Break these bad relationship habits for more love. Hey there, in this video, I'm going to be talking about some bad relationship habits that I see people do over and over and over again. And most of them are relatively simple things that can be corrected pretty easily if you just have some awareness around the fact that these are actually bad habits. So we're going to talk about what they are, and we're going to talk about what you should be doing instead. But before I do that, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Doing so greatly helps the channel. I need your help to get this information out there. If you find my videos helpful, then please make sure you like the video, share it with somebody that you know, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Hey everybody, my name is Kevin Anthony, and I am a certified sexologist, Tantra Counselor, NLP Practitioner, and sex, love, and relationship coach. And for over a decade, I have been helping men, women, and couples have the relationship of their dreams and the best sex of their lives. Okay, so here we go. Relationship bad habit number 1, running your relationship on autopilot. This is something that I see all the time. When people get together initially in a relationship, they are paying attention to each other. They are going out of their way to dress nice or to be on good behavior or to do all those little romantic things. And then after a while, the relationship just sort of gets on autopilot. You're not going out of your way anymore. You're not noticing the little things, right? And that is an absolute relationship killer. Absolute relationship killer. You cannot allow your relationship to run on autopilot. You see this a lot when people have been married for many, many years. And when you really ask them what their day-to-day relationship is like, it's like, you're basically roommates, right? Or co-parents. So that is not a good sign. Not if you want to have a really amazing and fulfilling relationship that is, sexy and full of love. So you have to see every relationship as a living being in and of itself. You have your partner, you have this relationship. It is a living being, and like all living beings, it needs nurturing. So you need to provide the things that this relationship needs in order to be nurtured and survive. And not even just survive, but thrive. So, if you think about it like your plants need good soil. They need fertilizer from time to time. They need sunlight, they need water, they need oxygen. And if you give them the right amounts of all of that stuff, they will thrive. Your relationship is no different. It just requires some different things. But that's going to require you to be actively giving those things to the relationship to nurture it and keep it alive. Okay, the second bad habit is not dedicating enough time to your relationship. And this is really, really, really important. I see way too many people, again, you have that initial stage of the relationship, and once that's over, people go into autopilot, but part of that is not dedicating time to it anymore. The relationship always seems to come second or third or fourth to the kids, to the job, to the life responsibilities. You cannot allow your relationship to take a back seat. This is something that I often see when couples decide to have children. The children become the main focus of everything, and everything in that household revolves around the children. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't make your children important or a priority, because you should. However, you can't do it and sacrifice the relationship, because a couple of things are happening when you do that. Number one, you're going to let the relationship die. And if the relationship dies and you end up splitting apart, now you have done something that will negatively impact your children. The second thing is you want to model what it means to be in a healthy relationship to your kids. I can't tell you how many couples I see that are just, their relationship is a disaster, but they're doing everything else they can to make sure their kids have the best, upbringing and the best schools and all the things they need. And it's like, whoa, one of the biggest things that's going to happen in their life, which is a relationship, you are not modeling what it means to be in a healthy, successful relationship. So You really have to make sure that you are setting aside enough time. I know it's difficult. In this world, we are so busy. We have so many demands on us. But this is critically important. Critically important. You have to give your relationship time. Time together. Time to create bonds. Time to nurture each other. Time to nurture the relationship. This is absolutely critically important. The third bad habit is not having regular date nights. Now, of course, this is somewhat similar to not putting in enough time, but you could actually have a regular date night, but that could be the only time that you give to your relationship. And honestly, that's just not going to be enough. So I needed to separate them to show you that they are actually two different things. You want to make sure that you are scheduling a date night every week. Every week. Do what you can to make that happen. If you have to hire a babysitter, if you have to get family involved to help take care of the kids, it doesn't matter. If you have to not work late one night that week, do what you have to do. I have seen huge success with couples who have made that one simple change, which is scheduling a date night and sticking to it every week. Even though there are a million other things that they could fix, just that one change alone tends to have a pretty profound effect on their relationship. So the bad habit is not having a regularly scheduled date night. And of course, the good habit is making sure that you have one. The fourth relationship bad habit is complaining. Complaining about the relationship, complaining about your partner. When the other things I've talked about haven't been done in a relationship, when you're just on autopilot and you're not making the time and you don't have regular date nights, you start to get disconnected. And when you get disconnected, then you start complaining more. Sometimes you don't even realize why, but the reality is because you're missing that connection. You don't do this and you never do that, and how come we don't do this? And we used to do that, but we don't anymore, right? That complaining is like 1,000 tiny daggers into the relationship, and over time it will kill the relationship. So does that mean that you're not allowed to say anything if there are things happening in the relationship that you don't really like? No, that doesn't mean that at all. But you need to reframe it. Instead of it being a complaint, you need to be able to turn it around and say, hey, how can we make this better? When we were younger, we used to have a date night every night. I would love for us to get back to that. That is a very different way of approaching it than saying, when we were younger, we spent lots of time together, and now you never set time aside for me, and now, this doesn't happen, and when we do, you're not paying attention because you're on your phone. If you just turn it around and say, hey, I really miss when we used to connect on a regular basis. Is it possible for us to make time once a week for a date night so that we can connect? And it would be also wonderful if during that we did something that we were focusing on each other. We weren't just staring at a screen, or we put our phones down, we turn them off, whatever it is. That's really how you want to approach it, rather than simply complaining about the things that aren't the way you want them to be. The number 5 bad habit I see in relationships is not appreciating each other. If you have been following my work or my work with Celine when she was alive, you know we were huge proponents of something that she called the appreciation game. I talk about it all the time on my podcast and on my YouTube videos and with my coaching clients. It is a very simple game where every day you tell your partner 3 things that you love and appreciate about them. There's so much resentment that builds up over time, especially when you've been in a relationship for a long time and you're not doing all those things, right? So you're doing all those bad habits that we talked about and you're not doing the corrective measures that we've talked about. It's really easy for that resentment to build up. And so one of the ways you can avoid that is by sharing things that you love and appreciate with your partner on a regular basis. They don't have to be big things. They don't have to be grand things, right? They can just be little things that you notice in your partner from day to day. It could be something small that they did that you appreciated that maybe made your life a little easier. It could be something about their physical appearance that you appreciate. It could be something that they said to you. It could be a way they handled a situation with the children or at work or, with a friend. There are so many things that you could potentially appreciate about your partner, and doing so on a regular basis really shifts the dynamic of the relationship. All right, and that brings me to the sixth bad habit in relationships, and that is not having enough sex. This is one of the primary reasons that couples often cite for divorce, is one partner wants sex and the other one doesn't. I know that life is demanding. We've talked about that in this video already. I understand that there are sometimes very little time to make these things happen, but you need to make it a priority. Sex is one of the primary ways that we connect and bond with each other. It is one of the ways that we establish deep intimacy with each other. It is critically important to have a healthy sex life if you want to have a healthy and thriving relationship. Now, I know inevitably somebody will comment in the comments, we have an amazing relationship. We're 85 years old and we haven't had sex in 20 years and the relationship is amazing. Yes, that can happen. However, the science and the studies are quite clear that those relationships that have a healthy sex life tend to fare much better. Now, maybe age is a factor. Maybe there are other things going on. Maybe there are medical conditions in there. Sex doesn't always have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to look like a certain type of penetration. There are many other ways that you can be intimate, sensual, and sexual with each other. So find what works for you, but continue to do it and make time for it. Schedule it if you have to. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I don't want to schedule sex. I want it to be spontaneous. To which I say, would you rather schedule it and actually have it, or wait for it to be spontaneous and not have it? Because that's usually what it comes down to. It doesn't matter if you schedule it. What's important is that you have it. But one of the ways to make sure you have it that generally works for most people is to get it on the schedule. That means you can still be spontaneous in between scheduled events, but at least you know that you will always have that scheduled time set aside to be with each other. All right, so there you go. Those are some relationship bad habits and how to flip them around into good habits. I hope that you found that useful. And please go check out my website at kevinandceline.com/link in bio. That will take you to a page that has links to all of the different things that I have to offer. So if you're looking for coaching, if you're looking for my online programs, if you're looking for my podcast, or great products to help support your sex, love, and relationship, it is all right there.